Go for it, Tyler.
Welcome to the Sunflower Technology Club meeting, member meeting. We're glad to see you all here. And in case you don't know, I'm Kata Mapes president. Larry Schreier is the vice president in charge of the tech team. And we have our secretary, Linda Wire, and our treasurer, Kay Walter. And Steve here. Okay. You know, people who are on the tech team who take care of things. We have a few volunteers to make sure there's plenty of paper and toner and everything in our computers. So I just want to welcome everybody, and I'll ask Larry, is there anything you want to say about the lab?
Everything's good right now.
Everything's good. It's always good to hear. Because with the technology, when it works, right? So I am so pleased that Tony is with us once again. He's from Watermark University. Of course, you know, Watermark is down there in Silverville. And we always love the fact that Tony will research and bring to us presentations on a variety of topics. How many of you have heard Tony before? Yeah. He's one of our heroes here. And we have two more meetings that we need tech talks for March, for April and May. In March, next month, we have somebody coming from the library to talk about all the digital resources. And for example, how you can download an audiobook if you want to travel with one and so forth. But we need speakers for April and May. So if you have an idea of a topic or a person that we can invite to talk, please let one of us know. We do that. Okay. So without further ado, I'm gonna take the route around here and introduce Tony Burgess. And tell them how to get around with Google Maps.
Microphone. They mic'd me up so you guys can hear me good. All right, by show of hands, who has ever used Google Maps before? And just about all of us, right? Yeah, Google Maps, pretty prevalent. If you go back a little ways, I won't say way back in the day because it's not that long ago, but in the computer world it is. We used to have to go to what, like MapQuest, and you would type in where you want to go, print out all the directions, and make sure that you can somehow, you take a wrong turn, there's no, correcting your route, right? You know, there was none of that. So anyhow, today we're going to touch on several different things about Google Maps. Obviously, probably most of us know how to search for an address and get directions to an address. But Google Maps has so many more features that you can utilize and would be very handy for you. So I'm going to cover most of those here for you, and I'll get a copy of this presentation to Kata and these guys so that they can send it out to you if any of you would like it. The last time I was here, I talked about AI, and Microsoft has integrated AI into their Office products, this being PowerPoint. I honestly will tell you guys, other than a couple pictures, I typed in, make me a presentation about Google Maps. And it went, bloop, and it popped it all in there. 42 slides. Within 10 minutes, I was done after I added the pictures I wanted to add. But I'm going to go through that really quickly, and then I'm actually going to show you some practical application, open Google Maps, and actually show you some of the things that we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to maybe skip really quickly through the presentation so I can actually get to your questions and things like that at the end and show you the actual uses. But before we get too far, we must first get to our first joke. I always bring a couple jokes to keep these presentations lively. So today's first joke is, I was asking my wife to throw a dart at the map. See, it's maps, yeah, it's related to maps. I said, throw a dart at the map, and wherever the dart lands, that's where we're gonna go on vacation. So it looks like we're going behind the fridge. Because she missed the map, the dart landed behind the fridge. Oh, I know. All right, not a good joke, but a joke nonetheless. All right, so the things that we're gonna cover about Google Maps. One thing that's very handy, especially if we need to get to doctor's appointments or somewhere, maybe we need to drive all the way to Phoenix, you gotta go to the airport, and you wanna know something about the traffic, and what does it look like? It has live traffic information on Google Maps. They have Street View, which hopefully a lot of you have had a chance to use, but we'll talk about that. Street View. Offline maps, which is handy if you're going somewhere where there's not gonna be cell phone reception. Anybody in here like to go on hikes? Anything like that? You like to go hiking? Have you ever been somewhere and you're like, oh, no cell phone reception here? Offline maps might come in handy for you guys. After that, sorry, I skipped ahead. Sorry, let me go back real quick. All right. Oh, should I be presenting my screen on Zoom?
Yes.
So the Zoom people, let me do that really quickly for us. I apologize. Bear with me just one moment. We're going to Zoom. Oh, look, there's me. I'm going to share this screen right here. Share. There we go. Okay. All right, anyhow, next thing is customizable maps, which comes in very handy. We'll talk more when we get there, but customizable maps, you can customize the map a little bit. Real-time location sharing, you can share your location in Google Maps with friends or family or other people who have Google Maps. Then we have indoor maps, which is pretty interesting. Maybe you're at a mall and you need indoor maps. Explore nearby, which is an interesting feature of Google Maps to where you can just be in a place, you're in a new place, you don't want to search Papa John's, I don't want to go to a Papa John's, I want to go to a local pizza joint. Exploring nearby would be handy for that. There's Google Maps Timeline, which is something that's a little bit more personal to you. There's augmented reality, which gets nerds like me very excited. And then, of course, public transit information, which may not be as helpful for us here, but maybe if you took a trip to New York or something, it would be handy for you for those subway systems and the like. All right, let's go next here. Next page, please. Hello. Wake up. There we go. All right, so let's jump into that live traffic information. All right, so I was making this presentation the day I was making it right about midnight, and this is what the traffic looked like at that time. Very green. You can see it's color-coded. So traffic, when you pull it up, I'll show you guys when we get to the examples how you see the traffic. But it utilizes user data to analyze and provide real-time traffic updates. If you have any Google app on your phone, and if you've ever said, is it okay if we track your location, you say allow, they're going to be tracking you almost all the time. And they use that information in their Maps application. And that's how they get their traffic data. If 30 people in their cars have Google Maps or Gmail or Google just installed on their phone and have allowed location tracking, they're going to allow that location tracking to update their traffic. And there's enough people who've done that it's pretty darn accurate. There's so many people who have their smartphones and have their locations, but they're using that straight from their users. That's how they get their real-time traffic information. You can visualize those traffic conditions color-coded. So green means good, there's no traffic here. You can see on the time when I took it, apparently there was something going on up here on Oracle. There's a tiny little piece of yellow right up there. So there was a little bit of a slowdown from some people who were driving in that region at that time. But then it's also enhanced by letting you make informed decisions based on that traffic. I want to avoid that yellow or that red section. Red means it's like stopped. We really slow traffic. So that's something to look out for. All right. And they use this data, all of the historical data as well, right? So one thing that you can do, and we're going to get a little bit more detail of, you can say, I need to be at Phoenix Airport by noon. And I actually just did that this last weekend. My mom was visiting, I had to take her back to Phoenix. And I said, on Saturday, I want to be at Sky Harbor Airport at noon. What time should I leave my house? And it pulled up, here's the average traffic throughout the day. And it says, if you need to be there at this time, you need to leave at this time because traffic is usually here. And it's going to tell you that you need more time if you're going during rush hour or, those types of things. It's going to give you an estimate based on the historical data that they've acquired from their users. Also, it can be adjusted based on the real-time information. Like I said, anyone else who's driving on the road and has Google Maps, and you can't use Google Maps without allowing them to track your location, because otherwise it doesn't really help, right? So anyone else who has Google Maps, or probably an Android phone, Android is Google, for those of you who don't know. So if you have an Android phone and you have your location tracked at all, Google's going to have that information as well. And then this will allow you to more effectively plan your journey. Maybe you should do a different route. Maybe it'll reroute you to avoid that traffic. All right. Next, we're going to jump into that Street View, which again, hopefully some of you guys have used at some point. Oh, but we got to talk about streets. Here's our next joke. What street do ghosts live on? Anybody?
Dead ends.
Oh, a dead end. Good job. Very good. Dead ends. All right, so, yeah. So, Street View is immersive 360-degree panoramas. And all that means is they take a picture in a whole circle, just like that. And then you can go on to that specific spot where the picture was taken, and you can scroll with your mouse and turn around. Or you can, if you have it on your phone, you can just kind of go like this, pretend like you're standing in that location. So we'll show you guys some examples of that. At the Watermark, around the corner where I'm at, we do a weekly virtual reality experience, and sometimes we just do Street View, and we go to people's home addresses that they lived in, 20, 30 years ago, and we can look at what does the house look like now, and things like that. Also in Street View, you can see historical data. So you can see, what did this house look like in 2019? What did it look like in 2020? What did it look, anytime that a picture was taken there, you can go back and see what that specific spot looked like. You can see trees grow, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And they've been doing Street View since like the early 2000s, like 2009, I think is about when they started it. So there's a lot of historical data on there. But it gives you this, it's very handy for those people who maybe you always wanted to go somewhere and you just, you can't really travel as easily anymore. Flying to Europe is just out of the cards, that's not something you're gonna be doing. But you could go to a street view of the Leaning Tower of Pisa and see what it would look like from your perspective if you were standing there in the courtyard with it and taking a look straight up at it. So those are some good examples of where Street View might come in handy for you.
How often do they update those?
So they are kind of constantly updating Street View. This is what they do it with. These are what the types of equipment look like. So this is a Google Street View car, and you see on the roof, they have this tripod with this huge device attached to the top. And it's looked different throughout the years. They used to have like a camera that would spin and take a bunch of pictures really quickly. Now what they have is, it takes like 8 pictures, it just goes, and then they take those pictures and the computer automatically stitches those together and makes a whole 360-degree view. So I will tell you an example of how often they update. Like, so we did the outside the front of Watermark. So they did a picture in 2011, 2013, and then nothing else until 2019. It's just a matter of when the car is going to drive by. You can request that Google come and update a location. So like, I live in Saguaro Bloom. If any of you are familiar with that, you go past here and go right up over Silverbell on the other side. So for a long time, my neighborhood was just dirt. Because a car drove by, they're like, oh, it's just dirt. We're not going to come back here anytime soon, And so finally they went and drove by. Now you can actually see everybody's houses there. But if you want a place updated, you can submit a request to Google, and they will try and get their car there when they can. But they're constantly driving all the time to get new data all over the country. This guy with this fancy backpack has basically that same camera on top. This is so they can get pictures of walking paths, and some people have walked through Disneyland with things like this. So you can go into those places where a car can't go, but still get cool and interesting street view information. So this is just talking about those benefits I kind of touched already. Here's somebody looking at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, for example. You can access remote locations that you can't get to. There's people who've done street view pictures in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So you can visit the Grand Canyon, but maybe you don't have the ability to hike down. You can go and look at their pictures and still get kind of an idea of what it's like. And then for anybody who has virtual reality goggles, you can put those on. That's even more immersive. It kind of cuts off your view of everything else. And you're seeing, everything as it would be as you turn your head. It seems like you're closer to being there. And then, of course, you can experience different cultures by going to those countries that just are out of the cards for you, as long as there's some sort of pictures available for them. So offline maps. I was talking about offline maps at the beginning, handy for those hikers. Here's my next joke. All right, so I've been taking steps to overcome my hiking addiction, but I'm not out of the woods yet. Oh, that was bad. I shouldn't have saved that one till last. I think that's the last joke we got in here, so I apologize. All right, so what you do with offline maps, it's kind of exactly how it sounds. Normally, when you open Google Maps or any other application that has a map, it's pulling the information about the location from the internet. But your location is from GPS satellites. So as long as there's a satellite in view up in the sky, up in space, which there's thousands of at this point if you didn't know, thousands of satellites up there to get your GPS location, but you can't load the map unless you have internet access. Well, if you have internet access here and now or at home, and you know that you're gonna be hiking the Grand Canyon where there might not be any cell towers, or you know you're gonna be going up to the top of Mount Lemmon where service is a little more spotty or not available at all, you can download the maps for those locations to your phone in the Google Maps application and say, I know I'm going to this place. I'd like to download that map so that I have it handy. Now, if you want to make sure it's up to date and recent before you go, so you can download the map now, maybe that map will change. Like my neighborhood over there, I don't know if anybody's driven that way recently, it's all torn up. They're changing the roads, there's gonna be stoplights. So, in a few months, if you have downloaded the map there, you'll want to make sure you update that download so that it's the most recent information. So you'll have offline map access. You can go to specific areas. So you can go to say, okay, I want to download New York so that I know that I'm going to be there. I'm scared. It's my first time being there. I want to make sure that I have the map and I'm not ever waiting on the internet to tell me where to go. You can go there now on your map, download it right now. You can download it anywhere that you'd like to go to a specific section. And it's convenient and reliable that way, yes. So you download it into the Google Maps application. And that's why I want to skip through this as quick as I can so I can show you how to do it. But yes, you would download it right into Google Maps. The key, I think it says on this next page here. Yeah, so it allows you to download maps that you can use. It makes it convenient and easier you don't have to wait for the map to load up or anything like that. Accessible for, it's very accessible and handy for people who are traveling. It's a familiar town to you, probably not as important. But this is the important part. So you want to make sure that you regularly update those offline maps if it's one you're going to need soon. And you just want to make sure that your phone or your device that you're downloading it to, has enough storage space. So it's not a ton of data. It's not going to take, it's not going to be like 45 gigabytes of data or something like that. It'll probably be a couple megabytes, might be in the double digits of megabytes, but it's not going to be huge. Unless you want to download, the whole world's maps or something like that. That's another story. But it's pretty efficient on the storage, but it just downloads it straight into the app. So it'll be in there. That way, when you open that map, you won't have to wait for it to download there and then. All right, our next section is customizable maps. And I will be able to show you guys some really good examples of customized maps that I've personally used in the past. What we're talking about with customized maps is, it's a normal map, but you can mark specific locations. And then let's say you're going on a trip of Europe and you're like, all right, this is the first hotel, this is the next hotel, this is the next hotel, this is the next hotel. So what you don't have to do, if you make that customized map before you even go, you can just click on 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to go, Larry, pull up the next hotel's address and find it so I can type it into my Google Maps. But you get it all preset on your custom map. And then you just know which one you're going to next. And then you can even say, what's the route from A to B or A to C? And you can pick those different customized locations. Makes it very handy. And then once you create one of those maps, let's say you're going on a girls' trip and there's 5 of you going, only one of you has to make that customized map. You make an itinerary, oh, we're going to this hub, we're going to this place, all these different things. And then you make that map of all the places you're gonna go. You just hit the share button. And as long as they also have Google Maps, you can just text it to them and then they'll have all those locations as well. All right on the map and all in one specific spot. And then that makes it very handy to keep your points of interest organized. To say, these are all the places I wanted to hit. And then you already know right where they are and all in one spot. So you don't have to save them in notes or something and look them up and maybe have a typo somewhere. You just do it all before you go.
That would be great to do if you're traveling with somebody and you have family or something here. You
Yeah.
can let them share with them too, so they will know where you are, so something happens.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna touch even more on that, I think the very next one after this one. So what you do, the user has very customized features for that. The user gets to pick what those locations are and get those marked specifically for you. You can pick specific routes. You can say, I want to go from number 2 to number 3. And it's like, all right, we're gonna have you go on this freeway and you're gonna pay this toll. And you're like, I don't think so. I don't pay tolls. You can drag that line and say, I want to go on this road that doesn't have a toll. Uh-oh, that's not good. What do we do?
It's coming up, I think.
Oh, there we go, we're back, all right. So you can pick a very specific route, and when you share that, that route can also be saved and the other people can save it also. And it's also very helpful to kind of visualize the whole journey, to say, these are all the places I need to go, and it kind of gives you an idea of all the different places maybe you can make it to, because then you can get your time estimates on everything, and you know exactly how long it should take you to get from one place to another and all that stuff too. And yes, of course, like I said, sharing it with other people makes it collaborative and it makes it user-friendly. This is our AI presentation, remember? All right, so this is the important part, I think, for family members or people who are traveling together as a group, your real-time location sharing. So for those people who haven't already done so, I do it like on right on the iPhone. You can share with family members just through Apple's ecosystem. I'm sure Android has the same thing, but Google Maps also has this feature available. As long as you have a specific person you'd like to share your location with, this would be handy if you're traveling to a different country or somewhere else you're not familiar with, right? And they go, you know, where are you? Have you made it safely to your hotel? And sometimes you're unloading the bags and you're getting food and you don't have time to just sit down and say, yeah, I made it, you know, maybe you forget to text them that you made it. They can just pull up your location, like, oh, okay, they're at the hotel they said they were going to, you know, put their mind at ease a little bit.
There's been times where I don't select my location, but maybe I get on Facebook and it will show later a picture and it will say the time that it's there and
Sure.
I feel like my picture.
Uh-huh.
How can I eliminate that? Because as I'm going out and about during the day, I don't want it to pinpoint where I'm at.
That's a wonderful question. I can maybe chat with you on that later. This is specifically Facebook.
Yeah, it seems like it's Facebook that does that for people.
I can take a look into that for you. I'm not entirely sure at the moment, but I'd be happy to look into it. I'm sure it'd be easy enough for me to figure out.
I'm probably the only one hard of hearing here. Could you repeat the question? I can't hear the questions.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
You bet, yeah. She was asking about, when she puts pictures on Facebook sometimes, it might be telling people the time that she was there and the location of it and things like that. And she wanted to know if there was a way that we could kind of eliminate that. And I was saying there probably is an option. I would just need to take a look into it and figure that out for you. So another thing about this location sharing is maybe you're like, you know, I want my family to know where I'm at, but I don't want them to know for the rest of my life. You know, I like a little bit of my privacy. You can say, only share it for the next hour. Or you can say, share it till the end of the day. Or you can say, share it for the next week. You can customize how long they can see that location. So when you go to that location sharing and select that, you can say, you know, share it till the end of the day so they know by the time it's nighttime, I'm back at my hotel and I'm safe or whatever. And then this, of course, enhances your safety. Other people knowing where you are in those weird situations can be handy. How many times do we hear about somebody, oh, she was traveling through Europe and then her family just stopped hearing from her, they don't know where she ended up. You know, they would at least know where your phone is at minimum and give them an idea of where you were at recently if you would share that information before you leave. The important thing that Google wants you to know is they understand you want your privacy. Just having Google Maps, like I said, they already know where your location is. So if you have Google Maps, you have to be okay with sharing your location. Otherwise, there's not really a major point in having it. But you can select, like I said, those people who have access to it and how long and things like that. So that's. So this is, we already talked about this, but those times when it would be handy, coordinating meetups. Maybe you guys are all on a trip together in San Diego and you get separated for dinner or something and you want to go to the beach. They're like, oh, what beach are you on? Well, we're on Mission Beach. Well, Mission Beach is huge. And they want to know where you are. If you share your location, you're like, all right, my location's shared. They can find you on that beach, you know, wherever your phone is at. So they can get to you a little bit closer. And then it just provides that safety with travel so people know where you're at. Indoor maps, so I don't have a lot of great examples of indoor maps. I didn't find any nearby us in Tucson that I could give you an example of. But Google does offer this as a feature. The businesses just have to integrate with Google to have it work. So if you're at a mall that you're unfamiliar with, probably in like, California, those tourist destinations, they're gonna work with Google to add those indoor maps where you're inside of a building. I would imagine things like the Mall of America has an indoor map. They have like thousands of stores. Yeah, go ahead.
I've done it at Tucson Mall.
Done it at Tucson Mall, there you go. So at Tucson Mall, maybe you don't know how to get from one store to another. They have indoor maps available. You can type in the store, or you can probably look on the map, click on the store, and it'll tell you how to get there. Just like it tells you how to get there on the road, it'll tell you how to get there inside the store. Just helps you navigate within buildings, and it's friendly. They integrate their specific floor plan, so it helps you, if that business has worked with them, which it sounds like the Tucson Mall has, they're gonna be able to integrate more effectively if they're working directly with them and give you just that more custom experience. Explore Nearby, this is a very handy one that I've used several times when traveling. Exploring Nearby is just talking about finding places that are nearby you in the moment. So I want to find a nearby museum. You click in the app right at the top. When you're in the phone app, it's right at the top under the search bar. There's these little bubbles. It'll say like restaurants. And if you click on that, all the restaurants that are nearby you will have a bunch of pins that pop up. And I'll show you examples of all these when we get into the actual application. So you can find restaurants, local shops, parks, all of those things. You can also see right on those user reviews. So Google reviews are huge. I know at Watermark, they're constantly telling us, ask people for reviews on Google. They don't ask us to get Facebook reviews. They don't ask us to get reviews anywhere else. They say, get Google reviews, because everybody, most people, use Google to search for things. And when they find your business, either through Exploring Nearby or just from finding the business, it's going to show you a review of that business as well. As soon as you pull that business up, it's gonna give you how many stars. You can see everyone's commonly said phrases, like cost, and they'll highlight features that people have reviewed before. But again, we'll give you some examples of those as well, and you'll be able to make informed decisions based on those reviews that are right there in the app. Who needs Yelp anymore? Just do it through Google. And then Google, if you use this a lot, they'll get to know you a little bit, which is kind of scary for us with computers. How much privacy do you want, right? But if you find this as a useful feature to you, they're gonna find, those things that you go to more often. And if you put reviews in there, they might be able to more customize those recommendations to you to say, this would probably be a place that you would like if you want that level of involvement within your program. That's something you can do. Google Maps timeline, has anybody heard of such a thing? So the Google Maps timeline is something that you have to opt into, unlike all these other things that are kind of by default. The Google Maps timeline is a log of everywhere that you have gone. And if you'd like to turn it on, then it will send you like a weekly or a monthly report, and you can access it anytime you'd like in the app yourself. But it'll also send you a report at the end of certain periods of time to say, here's the locations you went to this month, and here's the times that you went there. So this is handy for, people who are working, if any of you guys are working or anything like that, and you have to log where you went for your job. So like our bus driver at the Watermark uses the timeline feature because he's going to doctor's offices all day. That's what our bus does. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we take people out to doctor's offices. And he has to log everywhere he goes at the end of the day in his trip log. And instead of going to, the paper sheets where everybody put in the addresses they need to go to or whatever, he can just pull up his timeline and say, oh, I went to this one first, and this one next, and this one next. And he can see exactly where he went, when he went there, how long he was there. The timeline, again, some of you opt into, and then it will generate these reports for you if it's something that you're interested in having the information for. Gives you a comprehensive history of all of your travel. And then it creates an interactive map off of that to where you can watch the journey of it as well. It's not quite showing you every road you went down, because it doesn't track you that often, but at least shows you where you stopped. And so there'll be like straight lines between those different places where you stopped. It doesn't show you necessarily the route that you took. And then something else that's interesting, if you opt into that timeline, and let's say you were using it for a business reason, oh, I need to track my mileage I have to track my mileage when I travel for business. So even my drive over here is like half a mile, whatever, but I would need to track that so they can reimburse me. If I was tracking my timeline, I can do that. Let's say I had to make a personal stop at the grocery store, you can edit your timeline and take those things out if you didn't want that in there. So that's just one more thing you can do. The augmented reality is something I'd really like a chance to actually try. And it might be handy for those of you who go on walks in places that you're not familiar with. So when I say augmented reality, we're talking about, you've heard of probably virtual reality, which is everything that you're seeing is virtual. It's inside of a computer. Augmented reality is just changes to the actual reality that you're seeing. So what they're talking about with augmented reality, if you're doing the walking feature on Google, so when you search a location, you can tell it how you'd like to get there. You can say, I want to walk. I want to drive in a car, which is the defaults to driving in your car. You can pick, I gotta take a bus. You can pick walk, you can pick bicycle, whatever you want to do. And it'll give you an estimate of how long it's gonna take you to get there, depending on what you pick. If you select walking, when you do that, it's automatically enabled. If you pick up your phone like this after you've started your walk, it will automatically turn on the camera on your phone, and it will show you on the road where you're supposed to turn. Supposed to take a right on this street, there'll be an arrow right on the road, and it'll tell you turn that way. And if you hold up the camera to a street sign that's far off, it'll say, oh yeah, this road here is Silver Bell, or this road over here is Twin Peaks, just right on your screen of your phone. So it's kind of creating digital elements, because that's what opens the camera, so you can see the actual world, and then it overlays on the world inside your screen. It shows you these actual visual clues and things like that, just little helpful things on your phone. But could be handy, especially in places like New York and things like that are a little bit more confusing. Maybe not New York. New York's a grid system, it's pretty clear, but you get the picture. So yes, it overlays it on your camera view, user-friendly on path guidance and things like that. And this is one of their newest features, so it is constantly getting improved upon. They're constantly doing extra work to make it better. The more people who use it, the better it's gonna get, that kind of thing. They need feedback. So that'll come in handy. The last section on here that I'll touch on just really briefly, kind of like I was talking about, you can pick how you want to get places. If you want to take a car, if you want to take a bus, if you want to take the subway, you can pick those things in the app. And since you can pick those things in the app, they have public transit information. So if you're going to a place that has more public transportation, probably like the heart of Tucson, would have a lot more information about bus routes. There's not a lot of buses that come up here to the Marana area. But as you get closer to Tucson, they're gonna have that streetcar downtown. They're gonna have the different bus routes and things like that. You can actually see it straight on your phone. And if the bus company or the subway company has integrated with Google and given them access to the information, it might even show you, the next public transit that's coming up. Might show you the bus, oh, this one that's supposed to be here at this time, it's on time and it's right here on this road. It'll show you where the thing is that you're waiting for. So it comes in very handy there, and then you can get notifications if there's delays. Again, other people are gonna be using this and saying if they're on public transport. So if their phone is using that, they're gonna take that person's information and tell you, hey, they're running late. And this would make it handy, especially like public transport is very common in like Europe. So if any of you guys take a European vacation, it'll make it handy for you to be like, oh, we gotta go from the tube to the train to the, then we gotta walk on the sidewalk and use our AR, figure out which streets we gotta turn down and all those things. You can have a trip plan, taxi, then this, then this, then this. You can pick all of those different things. It'll make it a multimodal transportation, and you can plan the whole thing out in that way. And like I said, they integrate with the transit schedule, so they're gonna know what times, you're at this bus stop, it'll tell you what time the next bus is supposed to come. And if they're integrated and the other users have given them access to their data, it's gonna tell you right now if that bus is running late or if that train is late or anything like that. So in conclusion, and before we get to the actual examples of Google Maps, just helps you with enhanced navigation. You got your traffic, you got your different routes, you got your customized maps, all those things you can look at. You get your real-time traffic updates and your augmented reality or some of those really cool features from Google Maps. But anyhow, without further ado, let me pull up a chair. And I will show you guys some examples of kind of each of those topics that we touched on. All right. Yes, go ahead, Kata.
I thought like if I go somewhere and I don't know the restaurant in the area, I might even write in the food that I want, like yellow curry chicken, and it will come up with the list of different restaurants and have that on the menu.
Yep. So for anybody who couldn't hear Kata when she said that, she said sometimes when she travels, more so than just looking for a specific restaurant or a type of restaurant, you can search a specific type of food and find a restaurant that offers that specific type of food as well. All right, so for Google Maps, honestly, your easiest way of getting there is, there's one of two things that you can do. And you know what, I gotta share the right screen with our Zoom friends really quickly here. Let's see, here, we're now gonna share this screen. Let me just find where this is. There we go. Oops. There we go. So there's two different ways that you can get to Google Maps on the computer. On your phone, you can either go to Google and pull up the maps through the website, or you can download the Google Maps application. And in terms of the things that they can basically all do the same things, except for the phone can actually track your physical location, or my laptop cannot track my physical location. So it actually probably be more handy for you to use the phone app if you're actually traveling somewhere. But anywho, okay, we'll quickly look at that. All right, so you can either just go ahead and search a location in Google itself, or if you're at Google and you click on these little dots in the top right-hand corner, then one of the options that's in here is Maps. So right here, if you click on those dots, one of them is Maps. But it's just as easy to search a place, like if we get the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and we searched it. And then you click on Maps right here, this little tab at the top. We are now in Google Maps. So this is all of Google Maps. And you can see it's giving us several different things. So they have satellite photos, which you can also go back in time and see different satellite photos. So this is an actual satellite was flying over and snapped a picture, and this is a picture of that. But like I was saying before, when the reviews of businesses, look, there's reviews of the Tower of Pisa, 151,000 of them to be exact. And it's at 4.7 stars out of 5. And then you can scroll down from any specific location you pull up, and you can see actual reviews that people have left. So you can see, you must walk a small distance from a parking lot to reach a location. It's a cool little town outside the area with great food, wine, and gelato. Well-organized lines with clear signage, blah, blah, blah. And you can see the kind of the ranking of all the stars, which, with Amazon, we're all pretty familiar with looking at stars and everything like that. Something else, remember how I was saying that they take your live information about people who are there right now to get traffic and things like that? Well, something that I always found interesting is, as I would be checking our Google reviews and seeing how we're doing, is they have this little section here that says popular times You guys can see that. So it's popular times, and you can see from 9 AM until about 7 PM, this is the traffic that they expect at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. You say, well, how do they figure that out? Well, what they do is they take the data from people's cell phones who are there, and the more people that are there, the higher the chance that there's gonna be people there at that time. So you can almost plan and see what times, every business that's on Google has this same feature. And Google just sees how often people are at that place and gives you busy times. So I thought it was interesting that they had that data for our location. I said, I don't remember telling them how often we have people in the building, but that's how they track it, just by what people are there. You can see that they're not busy before 9 AM because I imagine they don't open up the little plaza until 9 AM. So that is our, looking at those businesses. And then right next to this search bar, you guys see these little bubbles here? This is kind of what I was talking to you about before. These little bubbles up here, it says restaurants, hotels, things to do, transit, parking, pharmacy. That's the explore nearby feature that I was talking about. So now that we have the Tower of Pisa pulled up, if we were to click on restaurants and zoom out a little bit, all of these little knife and fork little dots are the nearby restaurants. And let's say, oh, well, I don't know which one I want to go to. I just want to find a good one. Well, all you do is you scroll over to it, you click on it, and now you have your reviews, 3.8 stars, not as good as the Tower of Pisa, I guess. And then you have, it actually over on this one has an estimated price that you might pay for meals there. So it goes from 10 euros to 20 euros per meal on that one. You can scroll down and see the reviews. You can click straight on get directions. You can save it as a point of interest. You can, this is on my computer. So on this one, they have the option to send it to a phone or send it to your phone. So if I was logged into the same Google account on my computer as my phone, I would hit that send to my phone and whoop, that location would be on my phone. You can share it with a friend by clicking this button that says share. You can post it on Facebook or any one of those things. It tells you the hours. You click on here and it shows you what times the place is open, 7:30 to 10 every day. You can get their phone number, all of those things, right? All we had to do was say we wanted a restaurant, and we clicked on it. So if you need to call them, find out if they have, gluten-free options or whatever you needed to do, you kind of have all those different things right at your fingertips, just from clicking on those things. Now let's say we want, once you've explored nearby restaurants, you can further filter it right here at the top. It says price, rating, cuisine, hours. So let's say it's 11 o'clock at night, you need a place to eat, and now you can just narrow it down, say, I need a place that's open, I need a place that's open 24 hours. All right, look at this. All of these restaurants that are now still here say that they're open 24 hours. So you could click on this one here. And this one says it's open 24 hours. I don't always trust Google with the hours. I tend to still call places nowadays because you can never know what you can actually trust. If you want to just trust it, you definitely could. But either, my guess would be either on this, for example, it either just doesn't have hours posted or it actually is open 24 hours. I don't see an hours section down here, which is what would cause my concern. So sometimes, oh look, add hours, so it's missing its hours. We click 24 hours, it's actually missing hours, so something else to just be aware of when you're searching around on there. Let me go back to our slideshow to make sure I touch on all of our topics from the beginning of our slideshow. Yes, the live traffic. Let me show you how to find the live traffic data. All right, so here we are, we're by the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I need to know what the traffic looks like around this place right now. So I'm gonna close out of these things. I'm not as worried about the details on that. What you wanna look for is what they call their layers. There's different layers you can add to the map. So on the computer, it's down here in the bottom left. It says layers right on it. And I don't know if you guys can see this symbol from where you're sitting or not, but it's essentially, it's a square turn, so it's a diamond. A little diamond shape, and then there's another little, it almost looks like an arrow pointing down underneath of it. When you're on your phone, there's a little circle, and it only has that little symbol. It doesn't say layers, it just has this symbol, it has like a square that's turned, so it looks like a diamond, and then a little arrow. If you click on layers on your phone, you're gonna have the same options as you have here on the computer. All right, and right now, because I clicked on, when you click on layers by default, what it does is it switches from just like your traditional map view. And it switches to between that and the satellite image view. So right now, we can't see the actual buildings, but if we just click on layers, it'll go back to that satellite view and you can see where the actual buildings and things are. But you can see, there's all these different layers that you can add. You can see the transit layer. Where is the public transit? So if we click on that, now it'll have different stations marked. Way down here, you can see there's little tram stations now marked. There's public transit available in these locations. Not super close. I think a lot of this is like walkable area. Italy's a lot older country than us. They didn't necessarily plan on having roads and cars everywhere. So they're don't maybe have as much public transportation up there. But if we needed to see traffic, see, now you can see a good example of different levels of traffic. It's mostly green, few spots of red, which means there's a little bit more of a backup there. And then a few spots of yellow, which means it's just kind of slowing down. So that gives you an idea of what traffic's gonna look like. Maybe you're a biker and you wanna know where are there good bike lanes available. You click on biking. And anywhere that's now highlighted in this green color has little bike paths for you. Safe places to ride your bike. If you wanna see, it's maybe not as handy here, maybe somewhere else with mountains and things, but you can click on the terrain option and that will show you kind of different elevations and other things that are gonna be coming up. Then we can get to our street view, which is one of my absolute favorites. Let me get rid of this one and this one. We'll switch it to satellite view. All right, when you click on street view, the first thing that happens is it highlights anywhere where they have had that car drive by or somebody has set up one of those cameras and taken a picture. So anywhere in here, that's this bluish color, means that the car is driven by there or one of those people with those backpacks has gone by. Or actually, if you had your own 360-degree camera, you can, oh, that was cool. If you have a 360-degree camera, you can take a picture of a location and you can submit it to Google. And if they like the picture, they'll upload it to Street View as well. So that's what some of the people have done around the Tower of Pisa. So we'll zoom back in. And if we click like right here on this blue line, now you can see we are in the plaza where the Tower of Pisa is. And I don't know if anybody's ever visited there before, but everybody that goes there takes the same exact picture. This picture right here makes you look like you're holding the tower up. So he's holding the tower, this guy's sitting on the ground to make sure that the picture's lined up just right. And I always like, when we first get here, I like to turn around and find how many people are doing that same picture. Here's a girl doing the same picture. And then, let's see, here's a guy, this guy's probably pushing it down from one side. Let's see, how many other people can we see doing that same picture? There's another guy maybe doing something similar right there. There's a bunch of people do the same exact picture when they get there. But anyhow, what you can do when you're looking in Street View is you can actually go like this. And you can look right up. If you were standing in this spot, this is exactly what you would see. You can see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Anybody know how long it took them to construct the Leaning Tower of Pisa? 200 years, technically 199. But yeah, 200 years is how long it took them to build it. Because they built like the first floor, they built the second floor, that took them, a little while. Then some battles started happening and they had to fight some wars, so they stopped building it. And then it started to lean, and so they were like, what do we do? So they didn't actually, it was already leaning before they finished the construction of it. And it wasn't until like in the nineties and the early 2000s, they had to do some renovations and things. But anyhow, you can read up on all that just by searching it on Google Maps and then clicking the links and everything to go through.
So right where you are right now,
Yeah.
on this, if you turn around, will it turn around too?
Yeah, so not me physically. If you were on your phone,
And I.
you can do that. You can just go like this and it'll show you kind of, it's almost like your phone's a little portal and you're in that, that's the things that are in that actual space.
Okay.
So you can do that on your phone, not so much with the computer. You have to be zooming around and things with the mouse. But if we go back, let's see. All right, so now we're back out. Something that you can see that's interesting, do you see all these little dots? There's little blue dots. Those are also street view locations, but those street view locations are just where somebody was standing in one spot with a 360 camera. They took a picture and they uploaded it and Google was like, yeah, we'll put that on the map. You just gotta tell us exactly where it was, and then they put it on the map. So you can actually, something I didn't know, you can go up the Tower of Pisa. And some people did with their cameras and uploaded the pictures of it right at the top. So, oh, come on, get out of there, we wanna go to this. Come on, I'm trying to click on it, it's giving me a hard time. All right, maybe I gotta, so something that will be handy for you to know, when you wanna go to Street View and look at a specific location, there's this little person, little orange guy, and this little orange person is what you would, if you grab it and drag it, you can drop it where you want your street view from. So I'm gonna go down to the little guy in the corner and pick him up. You see I'm carrying him around now. And there's a little, whoops, there's a little tiny green shadow underneath of him. And that green shadow is where it's gonna drop you in your street view. So I'm gonna drop it here on top of the tower. Oh, this is next to the tower. So this is just really close to it. It's actually the bell tower for this other, building that's next to it. This is just the building I used in my example. So this is why I know so much about the Tower of Pisa. I've never been there. But anyhow, I wanna back up. I wanna go to this dot on top. So give me 1 second, see if I can get it in here. There. All right. No, whoa. Oh, you know what? I do it. So Google Maps is also closely integrated with Google Earth. Has anybody ever used Google Earth? Google Earth is very fun. You can do these same exact things on Google Earth. They took satellite images of the whole world and stitched them all together and made Google Earth. So you can do these same things on Google Earth. And Google Earth does have slightly different street view pictures than Google Maps. And so that's what I'm confusing. We did this in Google Earth. So I can pull up those ones, and there's a couple things I'll show you in Google Earth before I go that are very similar to this. But anywho, you kind of get the gist of how you can go around and you can go to these different places and see these, all these different things. This is like a place that I've never been. I don't know if I'll ever get to go, but I at least kind of have an idea of what that experience would look like, not necessarily be like, who knows what the smells would be or the sounds would be. There's tons of different things that, we don't necessarily know. But anyhow, at least gives you a visual idea. You can plan ahead. Maybe you're somebody who needs to use a walker and you want to plan ahead to make sure that there's paved paths, because walking through dirt and sand can be a real drag, right? So you can look at places like this plaza and say, oh yeah, this is paved, I should be okay to go there. That's just a good example of something that would come in handy for you. The next things on our list, offline maps. So let me exit out of this street view section. So to get offline maps and a lot of your other features that we talked about, you'll want to click on what they call it the menu button, or the hamburger menu, if you guys have ever heard of such a thing. It's these 3 lines. Any application that has these 3 lines, technically, that should open up a menu for you, and that's what we'll click in this instance. So we'll click on the menu option. And right here, you can see several different things that we talked about. You can see location sharing. So this is where I would click and I would say, oh, I want to share my location You'll see friends here when they share their location with you. So if someone's already sharing their location with you, you would see their profile picture or their initials in that section right there. And then you would be able to see it. They want you, in order to share it, they want you to actually get the app. Because I'm on the computer and it doesn't have access to my location. So they want you to get the app for your phone if you want to be able to share your location. You can still check on your friends on the computer. Here's where you would find your timeline. You can see those places where you've been. Let's see if anything's on mine real quick. Yeah, so I don't think I set one up for myself. Let's not go to today. Yeah, you have no location history, blah, 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 yeah. So, I would have to show you a good example of that from like our driver who I know uses that feature. But I just don't. But if you set up a timeline or wanted to set up a timeline in the app or on your computer, that's where you would go, is you would click on that thing. Now, how do we get back to where I looked? Oh, it's over here. Here we go. All right, so you have your location. What was the one I was going to? Offline maps. There you go. So you would scroll down in this little menu. And find it here any second. Where did I lose it? Maybe it's not in this menu. Hold on. Maybe it's in your face. No, it's not in your face. Why am I not? It used to be in here. Hang on. It says, oh, you know what it is. So it's not available on, I'm right now on a website. I'm on the computer's website. If I were to plug in my phone, which I can do for you real quick. I will show you guys an example of Google Maps, what it looks like on your phone. Because in order to download the offline maps, you need to be on your phone. So I will pull that up for you real quick. Don't read my messages that come through. All right, Google Maps is all the way on the end here. All right, so this is gonna cut it down so you guys can only see the middle. All right, so you can see some of those similar things. So those explore nearby, the bubbles are right here. Your general search would be up there. Now when we need to get into these other things, they've done a little bit of an update to their app. There's not a hamburger menu in here. You would grab, can you see this faint little gray line right here? You grab that and pull up. And you can see the latest things in our area. People who've done recent reviews, you can see hotels nearby. They're right here in this, this little section. Then you can go to things about you. You can see your timeline option there. You can make travel plans. You can see things that you've labeled, places you want to go, all these different things that you can add. There we go. All right. So now if I click on my face up in the search bar, so I'll show you this spot right here. This is my personal account. So if you click on that little dot, that's where you can now see some of those other things. You can see your profile, your timeline. You can share your location with people. This is where you would download your offline maps. So you would click on offline maps. You can select, it says, to use offline maps, start by downloading a map. Then you'll be able to search and get directions offline in that map. So we can select the map, say, oh, I want, you literally put a box around what you'd like to save. And you can say, oh, okay, I want to download this map. This would be 35 megabytes. So that's how much that would be, but I could search just about everything that's in Marana. I could search and get directions without even having to use any of my phone's data to do that. You would just click this button right here, says download, now get it all downloaded for you. Okay, we go back to our presentation real quick. Get to the next little thing that we didn't look at. Any questions on those things we've covered just yet? No? All right, let's see if there's anything else we want to do on the phone. No, all right, the next thing I want to jump into really quickly for you, we go back to the computer. All right, so this one I think would be very handy for a lot of you to be able to utilize for different things. This is the customizable maps section. Oh, it's up there. There we go. All right. So, the customizable map section would be, I have a couple examples. So has anyone here ever gone to the Tucson Rails in the Garden tour? They do that every year in Tucson. There's people who open up their backyards and have model railroads in their backyards. But in order to see them, you have to go to those people's houses. And so what the people who run that group do is they create a custom map every year. And it has on that custom map little pins that show you all the people's houses who are participating. And you go to that house just straight on the map and you can go from one to the other. So what you would do, here's an example of mine. So you would go under saved, and then you would go to maps. Oops, and I have to log in with my other accounts. So I need to sign in with this one. Verify it's me. Hold on. Try another way. Boy. I don't know about a passkey. I'll enter a password. I hope. Oh, look at that, it's saved. Not very safe, don't do that. Oh, I have 2 steps. Oh my goodness. All right, 1 second. They're gonna text me a code. Available, okay. Tap yes on your phone or tablet. Check your phone. Confirm if this is you. Yes, this is me.
That always happens when you're in a hurry.
Right? Yep. Yep, all right, very good. Okay, so now we can go to my maps. It was logged into my work account, that's why it wouldn't work, so I need to get back to my personal account. All right, so you would go, when you're on the computer application or on your phone, you want to navigate to this little ribbon that looks like a bookmark for saved things. And then more specifically, to see your customized maps, you would click on maps. And I have all of these maps that I've saved. So back in 2023, the Rails in the Garden tour, if you click on that, it zooms out to show Tucson. There was 2 way up there. I can't remember what that neighborhood is called?
Saddlebrook?
Saddlebrook, thank you. 2 way up in Saddlebrook, one of them right over there in Continental Ranch. And then the other ones were all kind of in middle to south Tucson. But these were all different. This is a customized map, because the only things I'm worried about are those ones. You didn't necessarily have to visit them in that order, but that is just the order in which they labeled all the houses. This came in very handy for me at work at one point. I used to work for an electric company, and we managed sites across the entire United States. Oops, well, I guess I can't close out of it, I guess. I have to keep it open. All right. So when you look in here, you can really get into the nitty-gritties, right? So what we did was we labeled every one of these blue dots is a solar location that we managed. There was solar installed somewhere, and we managed that site. And then in order to get work done at those locations, we needed a technician. So all of our technicians are these little red little guys, looks like they're laying in a bed. Would normally be a hotel logo, but you can customize it however you want. So we said, let all of these red ones be the locations of where our technicians live. See, we have some technicians that lived in California, some here in Colorado. We didn't mark the locations of the people that were in Tucson, but we had several techs right here in Tucson. But this came in very handy to be like, I don't have to go to a list and type in an address, or I don't have to go to, have an Excel sheet with all the different locations that we have. They're all laid out on a map where you can see them really well together. So this is just another example, and I didn't even make this map. A friend of mine made this map, and then you know what he did? He hit the share button, and then I just put it on my computer. Bada bing, bada boom, ready to go.
Can you just need a map once it's Say,
Absolutely, yeah, you can always delete it. So you would just go in here and we would, let's see, how would we delete it? There is a way to delete it, I just don't currently know what that would be. Let's see.
that's all right, I just didn't see anything on there, ma'am. You know, usually they'll have like a delete button.
Sure, yeah, I don't see a handy one right now. I think you could, at bare minimum, I could probably go into each individual location and just say I want to delete that particular location off. That would take a pretty long time. I would have thought there would have been a right click option or something along those lines. No.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, so now that I'm actually in the map, I can click this menu button. And then I can say, oh, I guess not, it doesn't have a delete map option. That's so surprising. I mean, this particular map, for example, is really only gonna be available to those people that you share it with.
Right.
So it's not, in terms of privacy and things like that, it's other than, Google knows it exists. But nobody else is gonna be able to pull up that map and be able to see what you're looking at and all that, All right, that covers just about all the things that I have good examples of. Did anybody else have any other questions on any things about Google Maps? Yeah, go ahead.
I was at AT&T.
Uh-huh.
Two problems fixing my phone, and I had a Google Maps icon.
Okay.
They said, I don't know why, get rid of that thing. Oh, I had Apple Maps, I think that's what it was.
Sure,
So when I plug into the car, I get Apple Maps,
yeah.
and it says CarPlay, which I'm not sure what that means.
Sure.
So what, I mean, I don't think Apple Maps does any of this, or much of it. So I don't even know what question I have, but I'd
Sure.
like to hear your comments.
Yeah, so from a personal level, I pretty much only use Apple Maps. Because I have an iPhone and it's integrated more with your phone and, it's just what I'm used to. Actually, when I'm navigating and driving somewhere, the application that I use in my car is called Waze, W-A-Z-E. Waze is a program where it's all user-driven, so other users do it. But let's say, for example, you want to know if there's a car accident ahead. If somebody else was driving up the road and saw a car accident, or maybe they just saw a tire in the road, you can click a button on the app and report that road hazard. Excuse me. And so that's what I like to use in my car is Waze. You can also, a lot of users report where there's police officers, if you have any concerns about your lead foot or whatever. But Waze is also really good about, it'll reroute you in traffic. It tracks, just like Google Maps and everything, tracking other users' data. It tracks where other people are going, and if they're really slowing down, it reroutes it tells you to go a different way to get there faster.
So how do you set that as your default?
To set it as your default, I don't know in terms of, so I've only used CarPlay a couple times but that rental had the ability to have Waze pull up on the CarPlay as well. So what CarPlay is, for those people who are unfamiliar, is it's just the screen in your car has an app or has the ability to display, kind of like I just plugged in my phone and had it pull up here on the TV screen. If you plug your phone in or have wireless CarPlay, you can have the apps on your phone displayed directly on the dash on your car. So Waze is just one that is compatible with CarPlay. You might have to click the button on it should be one of the apps that you can enable on CarPlay if you have options to go through different apps on there.
So you download the Waze app.
You download the Waze app on your phone, and then it should just be one of the options on your CarPlay. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a comment, need to take my husband out to the VA hospital on the south side. I pull the address up and it says, get on Interstate 10, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on Interstate 10.
Sure.
So I pull up the map, there's an option that says avoid highways.
Yep.
And so it gives me alternative ways to stay on the surface streets
Right.
without getting into that fast traffic.
Sure. Yeah, for anybody who didn't hear what she said, that is another option when you're looking specifically for directions somewhere. And like I said, you can mark avoid toll roads. You can also say to avoid highways in general. I don't wanna get on the freeway. You can say avoid highways and it'll still get you to your destination and just avoid taking those freeways or whatever that would be. To get back, sorry, just real quick, to get back to your question kind of on Apple Maps, it can do a lot of those same exact things. Apple Maps has the nearby feature to where you can see other businesses and things. I think that they get their data from, because Google's their biggest competitor, I think they get their information from Bing primarily, for the reviews and things like that, or maybe it's Yelp, something like that. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Apple can do a lot of those things. You can share your location with people. Doesn't necessarily have to be in Apple Maps, but just on your iPhone itself. I don't think that they have the augmented reality feature for walking, but you can mark that you wanna walk, or you wanna bike, or you wanna do those things. It's just that in general, more people like to use Google Maps, not necessarily myself, but just because everybody else uses Google Maps, it's gonna have more information about traffic and all those other things. And I believe that Google purchased Waze several years ago, so Waze is technically taking the same traffic data from Google and all those things as well. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to take a flight up to, say, Washington,
Mhm.
and take the train down through the coast,
Sure.
take care to Tucson.
Mhm.
How detailed would that information be, flights and?
That's a very good question. I haven't ever explored Google Maps specifically for flights. Let's see, I don't know if they have that integration in there. I kind of need to get this out of my way.
Would it reroute you to kayak or something like that?
That's a good question. Let's take a look at it and find out together. How about that? All right, we're gonna exit out of this. All right, he was talking, so what he was asking about was, what if you wanted to plan a trip and you wanted to fly up to Washington, hop on the train that follows the Pacific coast for a nice scenic route that kind of brings you back here to Tucson? Is that something that Google Maps could handle for you? I'm like, I'm not entirely certain on that. I wouldn't necessarily consider, they do a lot of more of like public transit and things, not necessarily the private airlines or the private, train companies and things like that. But we can definitely see if we did transit, then we wanted to go, so if we wanted to search up Tucson, Arizona to Seattle, Washington. All right, so look at, it did pull up a couple different options for us here. They do have a flight option, 3 hours and 20 minutes at $417. That's just our flight there, right? Getting there. Or they have a couple different routes you can take via car. But let's say that we wanted to do that, then we wanted to do the plane for the first leg. There we go. All right, so we're gonna do the plane for the first leg. Something that you can do when you're planning a trip like that is you can then, right now it only has, you're going from point A to point B. Well, now you need a point C, right? We wanna come back to Tucson, but we wanna come on a train. So, here's a good example of how you can select the different options. Driving in a car, the first option, 23 hours. Then it says 2 days via, what is this? It says transit. Let's click on that. What does it pull up for us if I did transit? There you go. So that's probably, this is Greyhound bus. These are buses specifically, but they do have bus routes if that was something that you were after. Yeah, I'm not seeing specifically, here's something that I didn't show you guys that I did touch on before. If we were doing our trip via car, really quickly if we do that, and you wanna tell it when you wanna go, right? Want to be there. Right now, this is if you left right now, they would estimate it would take you 23 hours, 29 minutes. But I want to say what time I want to get there. So I want to get to Washington by Friday at 10 a.m. Oh, 9:50, whatever. Now it's going to adjust a little bit. It's going to tell you if you want to get there by Friday at 9:50. That they're estimating the traffic's gonna be a little less, it looks like. So first off, it's only gonna take us 22 hours, oh, it's actually a range. Between 22 hours and 30 minutes to 26 hours if we were driving. But then it tells you, where's it gonna tell us what time we need to leave? Let me see. Oh, we need to pick our options. Doesn't have my departure time. Come on now. Well, I was hoping it would show us our time, so I'm more familiar with Waze. Waze definitely tells you what time you need to leave to get to a specific place by a specific time, but this is just,
If you pick one of the routes, it will let you know.
yeah, we'll
The
pick
routes
this.
are different times.
I'm not seeing it. It just tells you get on I-10. I mean, it might be different if we pick something that was a little bit shorter. But anyhow, yeah, it would probably be better if we did something shorter for that. But let's continue back with what we had there before. It looks to me like the only options that Google has specifically is gonna be your car, your bus, your walking, 22 days to walk there apparently, 6 days on a bike, or 3 hours, 24 minutes on a flight. And then usually there's a way, well, if you wanted to reverse directions, you can drag these around. Trying to figure out how to make another stop. Usually you can add in another stop in here. Darn it. Definitely gonna be a way to do it, but I'm not seeing it now.
By the little Seattle where the red icon is to the left, when you go by there, or something just coming up on the left of that.
Yeah, that's so I can drag it to move it around in which order I want it to be. But there might be, if we like searched another location, we can add it as a stop. Or maybe if we started our directions, then you could add a stop in the middle. We go by car. We start. This would probably be different on the phone is honestly what it would be. So if we go here. Yeah, because I'm not on the phone, so I can't see my location. Let me go back to the phone here. See if this will come up again for us. My directions. Directions. Oh, we want to go from, oh, we didn't pick a starting location. Okay, here we go. It's loading, give it one moment. There we go. So now that we're in the phone application, we have our directions to Washington. Right down here at the bottom, it says add stops. So we can say that we want to add a stop. You can search along the route. You can say you want to plot out your gas stations ahead of time, your restaurants, etc. Let's say we wanted to get back home. on now. It's just taking a second to load I should have downloaded an offline map. All right. So it has us first going there. So then we would start our trip.
Where's Sunflower Park Drive?
Ooh. Well, would be handy if I knew just a little more about Google Maps. But it's all possible. Yeah, I don't think that they have trains on here. It looks like it's buses, planes, those types of things, which is unfortunate.
So when you plot out something like a bunch of different stops, I'm
Mhm.
trying to doing that, and then I haven't been able to save it, so when I wanna use it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to save a plan, like, if you wanted to do something like that, what you would wanna do is instead of just planning a trip like we were doing here, you would probably want to go to, this button right, oh, come on. So, or you guys can't see it now. Come on. All right. See, what you would wanna do is click on this save button. Let's say you found a specific destination. You'd wanna save it, and you would say, where do you wanna save it? And you would make a new list. And you would, I don't have a list, we wanna make a new map, where's our maps?
Screen up blank too.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course it did. I gotta take my case off, the connection's not very good with the case on, so that's why it keeps dropping out on you. We'll take the cable back off. Right, let's go here. All right, so. Come on, little guy. All right. So what I would do, in order to. There we go. Okay, so you would want to, so in order to plan a whole trip out like that, you would want to go to this U section right here at the bottom. We can have bookmark with things that are saved for you. And then you would want to go to the maps section, and we have all those different maps. Oh, goodness. Is there not a way to make, come on. Let me just test. This will be our test. Test. Okay, save. To add Seattle to our places. And Phoenix Sky Harbor. And we would add Terminal 3. All right. Now from here. You guys still see this? Okay, good. All right, so now that just made a list of 3 places. And so now this has a separate section on there where I created this test of this private list. And you would you talk to somebody who's made one of those maps. Make it a map. Not hide on your map, not edit list, no. Not even plus button in their maps. Oh, here we go. That's not it either. Well, I don't know off the top of my head. Be happy to figure it out for you. those types of situations, I would probably, consult Google itself. Figure out how do you make a custom map? And then that'll be pretty, pretty straightforward for us on how exactly we do that. How to make a map in Google Maps. Maps. There you go. So within Google itself, now that I've done a little searching here, jump back one more time to the computer. All right, so once you go to Google, or I'll go back up to this page, we'll go back. So what I did was I Googled how to make a map in Google Maps. They have My Maps, so this is how you make maps with Google Maps. So you click on that, and then you click Get Started on My Maps, and now we have Create a New Map. Yeah, so
So Google is My Maps in Google.
yeah, so you go into, it's just an additional feature within Google, and then once you've created the map, it'll then be in your Google Maps, like those other maps I showed you, the one for the rails in the garden, or the one for the electric company or whatever. So now you would be able to create that same exact thing in here, and then it'd be easier to keep those all saved in one spot and have like one trip all set up for it. Any other questions now that I've confuddled everything? Yes, go ahead.
You've experienced this, but we'll be going in maps just fine, going somewhere, we use it all the time. And then we'll get to a certain spot in Tucson where it will say, turn right, and then as we're turning right, it will turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left.
Oh.
And then but we'll turn right because we're in the middle of right turn, and then it will go, turn right, turn right.
Mhm.
And it's like it gets stuck in that area and it has it, and it looks like it's swirling around on the screen. And it just keeps us in an area, it cannot, it's like it got confused. And then once we get out of that little area, it will pick up again.
Interesting.
And there's like
Yeah.
4 different times that it's happened.
I've never had anything like that, so for anybody who couldn't hear what she was describing was sometimes when she gets into a specific area in Tucson, the map will tell her to turn right, and then she starts to turn right, and it says turn left, and the map just kind of starts circling and things like that. Yeah, go ahead.
When did it happen? On freeway during the construction.
Okay,
So
Uh,
I haven't experienced it elsewhere,
okay,
but you're off. Certain, like last year,
Yeah.
going south, you were 50 yards this way
okay.
from where the,
Where it showed it on the map, yeah, we
Showed
had
it.
that too.
so I ran in,
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen that specific issue, usually if I miss a turn or don't do exactly what it's looking for me to do, it will recalculate, and give you a different route, but I haven't had that issue, so I don't know if I could figure out what that is. I don't know, were you, in terms of the phone you were using, was it a newer device or had it?
yes, and then,
Okay.
and we've had friends that it's happened to too, where it just, it's like all of a sudden the phone is confused.
Sure, yeah, I don't know, I haven't experienced that very many
Okay.
times. Any other questions? Yeah,
do you do much international travel?
I personally do not.
Because I've had problems several times. The way I understand
Mhm.
it is if your phone and your cellular data is on, your phone will search for a tower,
Sure,
triggering charge.
right,
I come home with the phone bill's like $800.
right, yeah, something
So
ridiculous.
my understanding is you have the cellular data on,
Mhm.
that will never happen, your phone won't.
Correct, yeah, it should never try to connect,
And
right?
so if you want to make a phone call, let's say,
Mhm.
you can find a place, get the Wi-Fi, have your Wi-Fi calling on,
Mhm.
and you can make your phone call via Wi-Fi.
Right, yeah.
What do you do? I know that you had touched on it,
Mhm.
about finding somebody up, like your location.
Uh-huh,
But if you're, AT&T is an international thing, so if you make one little call or one little,
Yeah, text message or
or
anything.
whatever, $10.
Wow. Sure,
And you're in, Timbuktu, but
yeah.
is there a way to do that without triggering that? Like find someone else. I would think you both have to be connected to the.
I believe you would, I think in order to see people's locations, I think you do have to be connected to the internet. I think you do. The only thing that would be beneficial for you is if you needed a map and you had the offline map downloaded, you wouldn't have to turn on your data to get directions. Because you've downloaded that map and it can tell where you are from your GPS, so you wouldn't have to turn your data on for that. But unfortunately, yeah, in order to share locations, I think you do have to have the internet on at some point. Anybody else? This was great.
Thank you.
I should have had more jokes prepared for you. I do apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I'm impressed with how quickly you go from your phone to the computer and get it up there.
Sure. Sure. I forgot to, you have. So I can give you a presentation.
Yes, what wasn't a charge. Strategy.
Yeah, I would just check it and see.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of people do that overnight. But temporary here.
Yeah.
Probably not a good place to be.